So talking to guys weekly, daily, sometimes multiple times a day about potentially breaking up brings up a lot of stuff. And let's see, can you see all my stuff in the background? Kind of. A little Gascu Tower. As I'm getting ready to head out the door in an hour for this ayahuasca retreat, this last week has brought up a lot of stuff for me about my own life. If you've ever worked with plant medicine or ayahuasca, adjusting my mambe. It brings up a lot of stuff. I have seen people before an ayahuasca retreat, before a seminar, bring up stuff in them, in their relationship, in their finances, in their work, in their emotions, in their fears, in their anger, and in their sadness, and this stuff bubbles to the surface. From a psychological, like a more clinical way of looking at it, is you have more capacity, or your unconscious, subconscious mind is telling you, hey, it's safe enough to heal this stuff you've suppressed or you've put off. So the last week's brought up a lot of stuff. Sometimes it can be really heavy. This week wasn't. It was a lot nicer. It was just a lot of clarity about the future in an exciting way. And also something's gonna be like, oh, fuck, how's that gonna happen? So it's been a cool week. And it made me, think about and reflect back on previous ayahuasca retreats. I'll be 40 this week. I've been working with ayahuasca for about 8 years. And this story I'm about to tell you happened, we'll just say in the past. Could be 8 years ago, could be months ago. When I talk about previous relationships, I like to disguise it so it protects the identity of my former girlfriend. So I still get to share my life experience, but it doesn't make them vulnerable or put them on the spot. Make myself vulnerable, that's fine. I'm good with it. Someone can judge me, I really don't care. It adds value to someone's life. If that's a possibility, I do care. So that's why I share it. So I remember back in the past, I had this breakup. And it's not pretty. It was unexpected. It's part of the reason I do what I do and help guys with relationship clarity. And I don't tell them what to do, but to make a decision, do I stay, do I go? And sometimes it's really obvious for them. Sometimes it takes some time, and sometimes it's like, hey, I haven't been showing up my best. I need to get more in this relationship, and then let's reevaluate. So in this particular relationship, we'd broken up and gotten back together, which has happened to me in a lot of my relationships in the past. And I just had profound connection with this woman, my past girlfriend. Even the bird out there agrees. Colombia got a lot of birds. So I break up kind of on a whim, man. I'm with this girl for a while, and I knew in my mind there were some things that were just hard. Like I was like, man, I wasn't frustrated with her, I guess. I was just frustrated with I thought we could make this work. There's so much here. Fuck. This hurts. And I wasn't aware. There were certain things I brought up. Hey, I wish this was different. She's like, okay, let's work on it. And then it doesn't really change. And same thing, it's not like it was her fault or my fault. And then she'd say, hey, this comes up. And then I'd work on it. And I wasn't doing as good of a job as I thought I was back then. It's how growth works, right? And yeah, man, we're back together for a couple months, and on a whim, this stuff bubbled up in me. I got injured at the time, so it brought up a lot of physical pain and fear I'd never felt before, and it was a perfect storm. And I said all these things. I was surprised they came out of me. Some of them were over text. So I was looking at it did I actually feel that way? I didn't even, I knew this one, but holy shit. Not my finest moment. Maybe you can relate. Maybe you've had an experience like that in the past. Ask me how I know. Yeah, I have. That's how I've been able to learn so much. I was curious to grow, and I just screwed up and made a lot of mistakes or said differently learning experiences. So yeah, had this experience, broke up on a Wednesday, a couple days before my birthday. It was a new low at that time, back then, a while ago. Financially, health-wise, and relationship, it felt like, it's like, all right, how am I gonna, I gotta take care of this financially. Oh my God, my body's never been messed up like this. And like, now I broke up, did I do the right thing? Oh, fuck. So I did what I did once in the past, really only once, and just kind of by accident. Went to a relationship, I went to an ayahuasca ceremony, my first time, 6 months after a breakup. And it was like, I just helped me in a way. I was like, wow. That just helped me understand and let go of that. I was like, okay. So now it's been a little time. I go to this ceremony. And I think there was something in the background that I didn't realize. Like after a couple of weeks, it was super painful, but I was like, God. I was able to accept them. Like that relationship wouldn't have been sustainable. It probably would have ended in marriage, little growth, and then just we're two different people, you know, which gave me an appreciation for going, call it the love, call it the connection, call it both. That was fine. But when people aren't really compatible, it's just they aren't. And you can spend time talking about it. You just have to realize after a while, it could be 6 months, it could be a year, it could be just going, we want different things. So I felt better after a couple weeks. I went to that retreat. Hadn't been to a retreat in a while. A retreat where I go is 4 ceremonies, so like it's gonna get the job done. Second ceremony, I remember I cried first ceremony, I cried like 1 tear. And I was like, I'm good. I'm a dude, I don't have emotions like that. Like kind of trying to bullshit myself. I know that's not true. Even if as guys, we can tell ourselves that it makes us weak or we're a pussy or call ourselves gay or that kind of judgment. And just these things we hear in the locker room and we're a teenager and from our uncle or whatever. So I go into the second ceremony. And I get after in it like 30 minutes, an hour, and I start crying. And it was so intense, I didn't know what I was feeling, which pissed me off. Because I was like, okay, at least I want to intellectually understand. I'm sad, I'm crying, that makes sense. But it was like, fuck, bro, this is so deep. And it was embarrassing, you know. I'm sitting there. I wouldn't say it's disturbing to other people, but there's only like 15 people there. So like, you're kind of the crying guy for the night. Or like, now when I say you, I mean me. I was the crying guy for the night. Or the whatever guy or gal, you know, the one that's really going through it. And man, I cried for like 3 fucking hours. I would stop for a couple minutes, take a drink of water and get back in it apparently. And I don't really remember at what point, but I was like, this isn't sadness. And I remember I was like, what is this? And I remember the first thing that came to me, probably what some people would call it was grief, intense grief. But I called it at the moment, what came up to me was like heartbreaking sorrow. Which that was so different than the last 15 years of sadness I could have ever imagined. Even when my dad died, it was an accident. My dad and I were in a fight and just boom, he was dead. That was more like numbness and sadness. And what was really happening looking back, and I don't know why I just thought of this today, like deeper, I wanted to share it. It was really having to accept that it was over. You know, again, I like to paint a picture where you can't tell who I'm talking about, so it protects the woman I dated who, you know, bro, and she shared her. You can hate your girlfriend or your ex-girlfriend or your ex-wife or soon-to-be ex-wife, but it's like she shared part of her life with you. There's still a duty or responsibility or just a maturity, in my opinion, to each their own, to like protect, even though you may never talk to them again. And yeah, it was just grieving and accepting, like this was my, you know, my favorite human. It wasn't like, I just, it's just fun and it's just cool and it's a fun summer and it's sex. It's that's happened a couple times in my life. Not a lot, but it's like I was planning on marrying this woman. And it's like letting go of that reality and going, I have to let go and let myself feel like shit that's never gonna happen. I didn't know it was possible to cry that much. And I share this story because for us as guys, we have a lot of judgment around feeling our feelings, communicating our feelings. And it makes sense how we grew up. Women are the opposite. Also, they're gonna talk to somebody. Somebody's gonna hear about it. They're gonna tell the hairdresser, their friend, their mom. They might tell someone who has a lot, it's gonna be a lot of chisme or like gossip. Go, I shouldn't have told her, but they're gonna talk to someone. So they get it out, they vent it. I don't think we vent the same way as men, but it's like we wanna understand it, we wanna solve the problem, we wanna alchemize it, we wanna transform it. Sometimes we'll say we wanna heal it. And if you're in that place of searching for relationship clarity right now, and you're asking questions like, is it me, is it her? Shit, man. This is my first marriage or my second marriage or my, first or second real relationship. What if I never find anyone better? What does this mean? Am I just fucked up? Like, is it something, even though I don't think we're a fit, like, what if I'm just a bad person? Bro, it brings up, you got 3 areas of life. You got finances, body or health, and relationships. To change finances and work more or work 3 jobs, it's much more doable. To go, I need to lose 50 pounds. All right, eat salad, vegetables, and chicken, track your macros, and go lift weights 3 days a week and run 1 day a week. These are fairly linear things. To navigate a relationship with another human who also has a different functioning brain. This isn't sexism, it's science. Like, our brains work differently as male and female. You can watch Dr. Amen stuff on this. Our hormones work really different, right? We communicate super different. And this person that you're in love with, that you're in a relationship with, that you're married to, you have kids, there's no relationship better at mirroring every freaking childhood fear and pain and thing that you thought you worked on, that maybe you worked on at 20%, you thought it was 90, and you're gonna find out. So when we have pain in that relationship, when we decide, I think it's gonna end, it brings up shit. It brings up pain, it brings up self-worth. What if I'm not good enough? It can bring up sadness, we go internally. It can bring anger, we go externally. Where a lot of pain comes from breakups is whether it's about to happen, it's happening right now, or it happened a little while ago, is accepting it fully. Because we can break up in the moment. I don't know if you've done this. Again, ask me how I know, bro. I don't know if you've done this, but like where you break up with a woman, you know why, you made a decision, you're clear. And then 2 weeks or 2 months later, you're like, man, and your mind literally reverse organizes. Like all the reasons, let's say there was a few you knew you had to break up. 3 weeks later, you're like minimizing all these reasons of why you're not a fit. You're taking the positive qualities, those are really big. You're like, oh. And really all you have going on, which is super simple, unless you don't understand it, then it feels really complex, is a parts conflict. Part of you feels this way, part of you feels that way. A few weeks later, a different part feels this way, a different part. And it's really about creating inner integrity. But why I really want to make this video today is sharing that it's about accepting and grieving that it's going to be over soon. If that's where you're at. Or accepting maybe a fantasy life you had has to die or has to alchemize to go, well, I thought I was going to be a playboy and be monogamous and have a wife and kids. Like, that's probably not going to work. Maybe that has to go away. Or it's like, fuck, bro, I'm watching your video and I can tell, I think we're about to break up. this week, or, you know, I'll talk to guys and go, I'm just going to pull away enough or whatever enough. And, you know, I'd rather she ended it, which ends up hurting you both more and more on that later. But yeah, accepting and knowing that everything comes to an end. Our lives come to an end, and if this resonates with you, it's just accepting and making peace with, like, hey, I did my best, and maybe sometimes that it didn't feel good enough, but this relationship's coming to an end, and to allow yourself to feel it and to grieve it. And that's with a coach, that's going in nature and crying, that's going to plant medicine, that's meditating, that's punching a pillow and crying. It's part of the human experience, is letting things out. In an ayahuasca ceremony, you've heard the stories, even if you haven't been, it's your puke bucket. With the nervous system, the emotional, you know, interface that we are in this human body, crying. And when we get out of our own head to go through that grieving process and to realize your body has a process, and not to judge it, that because of what our dad said to us when we were a kid, that guys cry, guys go through shit. So if you haven't made a decision, what will keep you in a enormous amount of pain will be not making a decision. Because if you're in a place like this, she already feels that you're 1 foot in, 1 foot out, even if you're married on paper, or even if you've been boyfriend and girlfriend for the last 2 years and you just went to a dinner party last Friday and says, hi, here's my boyfriend. If you're in this place of indecision, she already feels it. So it's costing you much more than you know. And I say it from a place of love, to make a decision, it will get worse and more painful. And when it comes to divorce and separation, oftentimes more expensive. So remember, if you're going through this, you're gonna have to grieve and accept it. And what can you do to make a decision today? Connect your balls to your heart, find your power, and do something. Thanks for tuning in, gents.